of Cedar Springs City Council for February 7th, 2023 at 6:03 p.m. to order. Please rise with me if you feel so inclined and say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, roll call. Miss Atchison.
Here.
Mr. Gross.
Here.
Miss Hamel is absent. Miss Nixon, not here. Miss Powell.
Here.
Miss Race.
Here.
Mayor Conley is here. At this time, should I take a motion to excuse the people who are not here? Do we want to do that?
Yes.
Okay, I will take a motion to
I'll make that motion.
excuse Miss Nixon, Ms. Hamel, and I guess that's it.
A second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. And thank you to everybody for getting here so we can make sure we get this sidewalk thing situated. Public comments. The council welcomes and encourages the public to speak during the public comment and public hearing portions of the agenda. However, council policy is to hear the public comment, not to act on the public comment at this time. Concerns brought before the council during the public comment portion of the agenda will be referred to the city manager for action. If after communicating with the city manager, no resolution is reached, the concern will be elevated to the mayor and then eventually to the council for action. Those citizens wishing to speak on agenda and non-agenda items will be allowed a maximum of 4 minutes each to address their concerns. This is the only time during the council meeting that citizens are allowed to address the council. If you would like a response, please state your name and address for the record. Anyone on Zoom?
Madam Mayor, there does not appear to be anyone on Zoom, and we do not appear to have anybody in the public. I would like to point out just one minor thing, and that is in your packet at the end is a communication. I did include the special meeting public notice that the clerk put together and posted on February 2nd at 5:30 p.m. So it's been posted for approximately 5 days.
Okay, then moving on to, we don't have any public hearings, adoption of the agenda.
I make a motion that we adopt the agenda as written. I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the consent agenda. Do we have anything on the consent agenda? Not really. So we'll move on to action item. Motion to approve and recommend the bid award for the 2nd and 5th Street Sidewalk Replacement Project to Anilon, am I saying that correctly? Anlan Corporation, and to authorize the resolution to that effect if required by the CDBG. The 5th Street Sidewalk bid sheet, the 2nd Street Sidewalk bid sheet. As presented, questions on the hydrovac, the 3 quotes that you have for each one.
So if I could just kind of briefly go.
Please.
So city staff has been working on this project for a very long time.
Mhm.
We've been,
At least a year.
about a year, yeah. So sidewalks in this community are a little on the difficult side, partially because, we've got so many old bad sidewalks and we have lots of places where there are no sidewalks. But additionally, it's Cedar Springs, there is water in this community, and sometimes it's hard to put sidewalks where we'd sometimes like to because of the wetness of the ground or the location of the creek. I think we've put together a pretty good, for what, for the amount of money that's available to us, a pretty good plan for the sidewalks. And we received 2 bids. Obviously, we would have liked more, but it is what we got. Anlan Corporation was by far the cheaper option, the less expensive option. And they did track pretty closely to what our engineers estimated this would cost. So I'm not disappointed, I guess I'll say, by that quote. For whatever reason, Advanced Hydrovac was significantly more expensive on the 5th Street side and about $100,000 more on the 2nd Street side. So the CDBG was not entirely clear about how they needed approval. So I put it as a motion here and I'm asking for authorization to make a resolution to that effect if necessary. And of course, Madam Mayor, you would have to sign a resolution.
Whatever you need.
I would ask that you approve the motion as written.
Okay, so I will make, I will ask for a motion to remove the sidewalk sections of, what do we call them?
Oh, no, we haven't got to that part.
Oh,
This is simply a resolution
the-
to approve of the bid awards as presented, I guess.
I'll make that motion.
okay.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Was Ann Land involved in the last sidewalk project where there were some difficulties?
Yeah, so Anlan apparently has some people from Epic Excavating. And Epic Excavating were the people who did the last sidewalk project.
Mhm.
Now, we'll get into that here shortly, but that's one of the reasons that we're asking for a full-time inspector. Apparently, I can't remember if it was CDBG or Fishbeck, but someone did a project with Anlan recently and they seem to do an okay job. So as long as we have a full-time inspector, I'm not concerned about it. And it's not Epic Excavating Part Two, it's, it's a small trade industry, you're gonna have people cross over when one business goes out of business.
So the inspector, is that part of the bid or is that an additional cost?
It's part of the total cost, so if you combine the two Anlan bids, it doesn't equal the total cost because we've added those in as part of the total cost,
Okay,
but the bid cost is a different number. But
I
we'll,
think I get
we'll
it.
get to the full cost here on, I think, items.
What is the piece on the NOA on Fishback?
So that's the notice of award. It's really just Fishbeck's proposal. So Fishbeck does all the bid work for us and then they receive the two bids and then they make a recommendation.
Got it.
So it's really, it should have been called the recommendation, but they put it on the same form as their notice of award.
Got it.
That's just what I called it.
Cause I was like, I'm very confused. If Fishbeck is awarding it, then why is, but
You guys have to approve of it. Yeah.
got it. Makes sense now. Okay. Other questions? All right, then we have a motion and a second. No other discussion. I'll do a roll call. Since it is for money. Ms. Atchison,
Yes.
Mr. Gross,
Yes.
Ms. Ms. Powell,
yes,
Ms. Race.
Yes.
And Mayor Conley votes yes. So then we move on to a motion to remove the sidewalk sections.
Yes, although, I got something new today.
Okay,
So let's discuss that briefly because it kind of ties into both B and C. So, the original estimate was that we were gonna be about $76,000 over.
right.
In discussing this with the folks who administer the CDBG grant today, and I made sure, because I'm not the finance director, but I made
Right.
sure to talk with Darrell about this. It looks like we've rejiggered the numbers so that the city's portion is now only $46,000 over.
Oh,
So we're saving about $30,000.
okay.
But we'll get,
Darla is amazing.
it's a little bit of everybody, but yes, Darrell is amazing. So we can discuss B.
Okay,
But I'm probably gonna recommend we don't remove any sections. And the reasoning being, part of the way that we got to where we're at from 76 down to 46 is 75-25 split on the cost. And if we remove portions, that might screw this number up.
oh, okay.
So, but let's discuss the removal sections and then you'll kind of get what I'm getting at.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't have your page numbers, so I'm not looking at PDF. But if you could bring up the map page, which has a couple of yellow arrows on it. And there's only like 16 pages in your packet, so it's
Right,
too hard to find.
what page you want?
9.
9.
Okay, I'm on it.
So, this is, I know it's a little hard to tell, but those colored lines are actually on specific sides of the street, and
Mhm.
so, the green portion, the blue portion, the red portion, Those are all different kind of additions to the project. The red portion would be considered the Fifth Street project. The blue portion, I think, is considered the Second Street project, and then the green was the additions, mostly to the library. Okay. The two yellow arrows mark what I originally had proposed as removals from this project. Now, the engineer tells me that we're looking at about $33 a running lineal foot. And those two sections together equal about 1,400 feet. So if you go to the next couple pages, you'll see them in much greater detail. I don't know which one's first, fifth, or seventh.
This is fine.
Yeah,
So the Fifth Street line,
Straight.
you'll see 975 feet in the yellow arrow. You'll
Yeah.
see the red line. Okay. So what I originally proposed was removal of the sidewalk there, which would have been on the west side of the road from Pine Street down to the driveway associated with CS Manufacturing. The section in the blue oval, there was no sidewalk proposed there. And the reason because that entire area is basically a bridge.
right.
And we thought we were gonna be able to get funding for a pedestrian bridge. But then when we looked at the actual true cost of it, it just was way more money than we could possibly spend here. So as it currently stands, the intention is to put a sidewalk from Pine down to that driveway, and then it's just empty at that point. Until you get to Cherry Street, and then the sidewalk would start again at Cherry on the east side of the road, headed down to, I think it's Beach. Because again, the river's on the west side there.
Right.
And then it switches back over to the west side, from there down to Muskegon. Okay. So I was gonna propose that we remove that section because this blue oval section was never gonna be connected.
And we don't need it on the other side headed to Muskegon because it's already got sidewalk and
South, there's two properties on the north there that have pretty good sidewalk. South of there, it's in bad
I
shape.
guess that's true. Yeah.
So we would be replacing those, I think it's 3 houses there that have poor sidewalks. Anyway,
And
so.
the other side just doesn't have any.
Correct. So we were not gonna put any on the east side, just the west. Side. So that was my original proposal, and then you'll see on the next one on Seventh Street by Riggle Park. The intention was to run the sidewalk on the west side of Seventh from Muskegon north to again approximately a driveway at 1417 Street. Then you see another blue oval. Apparently that area is wetland.
Yeah.
So we couldn't get funding for that portion. And then you'll see the sidewalk picks up again from Riggle Park going east to where the sidewalk is in front of the Northern Lights, I think it's called,
Yeah.
which is narrow but in good shape.
Sure.
So I was gonna propose we remove the Seventh Street side, which is about 500 feet. Combine those, you get 1,400 or so. And I think in my notes, you're looking at. So 16,500 for the Seventh Street side, 32,000 for the Fifth Street side, for a combined total of about $48,000. But upon receipt of this new email today, going from 76 down to 46, there's only about a $10,000 difference there. Because if we now try to remove these two sections, I think we might screw up the 75 to 25 split. So, that all being said, I think my recommendation at this point is to leave the sidewalk project as it is. And then bite the bullet on the 46,000 overage instead of the 76,000 overage. And I guess be happy that we're saving 30,000 based on the new split numbers. So that's my recommendation on that regarding removal. But obviously I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts.
I think you're not wrong.
If I may. I think my motion will be very indicative of what the others gonna think, but I'd like to remove proposal B from the agenda.
Sure.
That would be my motion.
Support.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Rose has a question.
remove the entire motion from the agenda?
Yeah.
Right, so this is the piece to remove the sidewalk sections.
Okay.
Basically, it's a vote to put it in.
Oh, okay.
Instead of leave that, the whole thing.
So
the way
we're
it
just
was
gonna
and
just
not
cut it
remove
right out. It was a very elegant solution.
Okay, then I support it. I just,
Well, we already,
just kind of.
so, good? Good? Do you want me to vote again? Are we good?
And so, number C, I kind of,
Motion to approve the CDBG sidewalk project for a total amount not to exceed $788,124.
it's the 24 cents, it's important.
Yes.
So I'm gonna ask you to approve of this as written, though with this change of $30,000. I suspect we'll only spend 758 instead of 788. But, you know, it never hurts to have a little wiggle room, you know, we'll do what's right with the money.
Something could happen.
So I would ask for it to be approved, as written.
So I'm looking for a motion to approve the CDBG sidewalk project for a total amount not to exceed $788,100.24.
I'll make that motion.
Or,
Any discussion?
When is this all kind of like an ETA stuff?
So, I mean, the AMLAN is the bid number.
Okay.
And
April?
what we're doing right now had to be done by Thursday,
Okay,
and it's a tight time frame.
Oh.
So this should be spring,
okay,
but
When the frost
who knows? It's construction season.
I
and
know, right.
and
It's
concrete.
it's a strange market. But it should be spring, early summer at the latest.
That's like a thing.
Of course, we've got the Main Street project lined up, and we've got local road paving we're planning on doing too. It seems a little unreal, because of course, right now it's just cold and snow and whatever, but we've got a ton of stuff lined up this year.
It's amazing.
do you think there'll ever be a chance to get a pedestrian bridge to connect those two sidewalks?
Yeah, so again, that was a battle I was fighting with myself is, okay, so we have it crossing from this side to that side to this
Yeah.
side to that side. But I'd really like to see a sidewalk up and down Fifth Street the entire way.
Well, yeah.
And the problem is, in addition to the culvert on Cherry Street,
Mm-hmm.
you have the bridge going under Fifth Street too.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're probably looking about another $1 million project.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there is TIP funding for that. So-
Doesn't this also impact if we're trying to do the Cherry Street extension?
Yes,
Sure.
Cause that would have to be not just a bridge, but it has to be like,
multi-lane and all sorts of.
yeah, it's gonna have to be substantially changed in size and it's gonna, I mean, am I lying?
No, you're absolutely correct, and that's one
Correct.
of the reasons why I haven't been super eager on the public road side of a White Creek side,
Mm-hmm.
because this is going to be a significant and challenging exercise to get that bridge in there. But this is at least, you know, $20,000-$30,000 worth of sidewalk that we're not gonna need to put in at some time down the road, 5 or 10 years.
Right, and it'd probably have to be torn out if that bridge ever goes to improvement.
Well, I think where it stopped at that driveway, I think that's about the northern extent to where the bridge would be. I don't think any of the new sidewalk would ever have to be torn out for that.
Yeah.
road.
But if we did take it in farther, there'd definitely be changes.
Yes. So of course,
Now- Isn't the entrance for the North Country Trail right on, like, when you go down to the end of that,
on Cherry Street,
Mhm.
right?
so, but we're talking about sidewalk on this street.
Right, on Fifth, I understand, but we were talking about the Cherry Street extension.
Oh, yeah. Yep, so there certainly would be changes made to the North Country Trail, but
You
like,
don't think we could have a gate with the screwdriver in
I don't
it?
think so. But I mean, we're literally looking 5 to 10 years out.
I get it. It's
I don't-
just-
It's gonna be a while.
Not only that, but then as soon as you go through that gate, it goes over, you start going to the south,
Yes,
so. But
yeah, like it runs along the fence. and
everything changes.
goes to the-
So, did we get a vote on?
We have a motion and a second, and this is discussion. So any other discussion? Then, I guess I'll do a roll call. So, Ms. Atchison,
Yes.
Mr. Gross.
Yes.
Ms. Powell,
Yes.
Ms. Race.
Yes.
And Mayor Conley votes yes. So we have a sidewalk.
Yay.
Yay. Any communications?
Just the special meeting notice.
Okay. And any other communication?
Well, there's not a manager's report, but I would like to report that I attended the CDBG meeting this morning with Rose. That was early. It'd be nice if it was later in the day. And
Every
then
other.
I'm just coming from a special meeting for the library that was very interesting and informative. Cammie did a great job along with Carol from Lakeland Cooperative. So a lot of good information there. And it's got,
Shelley from the library board.
yeah, there were a couple of people there, but they kind of led the discussion. So it's you know, I don't want to get into the library thing today, but it's gonna be an ongoing thing.
Were there,
Cammie's a rock star. Let's just say that we think she's amazing.
were there any of the township board members there?
So it was supposed to be Kevin Green and Cammie and me having a meeting. Mr. Green did not show up to his own meeting.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
But there were several library board members and several Solon Township board members.
Okay.
And myself, Cammie, and Carol from the Lakeland Cooperative.
And then Shelley from the library board was supposed to be there. I was,
Yes.
because Heidi was trying to do it, but
Mhm.
couldn't make it. And we had discussed trying to see if we could get you.
Oh.
I said I thought you probably could have, but then they thought Shelley probably had it handled from the library board perspective, and then we're expecting other people from Solon.
Yeah, it was nice to have Solon Township board members there, even though we don't always see eye to eye. Because I think they maybe have lacked a good education on the reality of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they got a earful and an eyeful today.
I think there's been a lot of confusion about, not so much on our part, but on their part, about what exactly this contract with the city and Solon, like what it entails, who engaged in it, how binding it is.
Yes. So as I've tried to keep you guys as informed as I can, I think the city's in a good position. But as policymakers, you guys will have to make a decision ultimately about where we want to go. I'm sure that,
Well, there's been a question about whether or not that's our role.
well, I mean, some people have opinions about that.
Right.
My question ultimately for you guys will be, do you have an opinion about that? Because I work for you.
Mr. Sluggett is going to be telling us.
Somebody from the
That's what I
city
thought.
attorney's office
Yeah.
hopefully will be available. I don't know if I gave them enough
So-
time for the meeting next week. But they are aware of the question.
Is there still a question on the table from Solon Township about whether or not the contract between Solon and the city is a legitimate contract?
Do you want me to address these issues while we're being recorded?
I mean, I didn't know if that had been resolved as we've all agreed that that contract is a contract.
I think the short and simple answer would be, my opinion is that, yes, it's a completely legitimate thing. I think the concern and the issue is that the library board never signed on to it. The problem is, if you take that view, that somehow it's not a legitimate contract between the city and Solon Township. That means that now the Solon Township board members on the joint board should not be on a board that is not legitimate.
Correct.
So it would, under their theory, revert automatically back to a city-only board. And then this board would have to appoint 3 new members,
Or at least one. Under the 1877 law, there need to be 5.
at least 5, yes,
So at least, I mean, ideally, it could be up to 9,
correct.
but we would have to appoint at least one. At which point then, if Solon wanted to have a contract, if they don't believe this other contract is viable, but we have a contract with consideration because they have paid money.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we're on good legal grounds, but I understand the board might want to hear from a different attorney on this issue. So like I said, I've asked the city attorney's office to look into it. Hopefully we'll be able to have time for a closed session. I don't know if it's gonna be in time for this next meeting. We could set a special meeting, or we could try to do this in March.
I just didn't know if at your meeting, if Solon had agreed that this contract is a viable contract, or if that's still,
I
don't know.
genuinely am concerned that Solon Township board members have not been given sufficient or appropriate information from their leadership team or from the library board members that they have.
I was gonna say, by Solon Township Board, you're talking about the actual township board, not the library board from Solon.
Correct, even though,
One of them is the chair of the library
yes, the
board.
supervisor of Solon Township is the chairperson, which there are concerns about that as well.
If I may.
Mhm.
As you indicated, this is a non-agenda item. I think probably some of this discussion should be held otherwise at a different
Yeah.
time, okay?
Sure, this is just about him saying he had a meeting.
I understand, but, he had also mentioned that you want it to be all recorded at this point in time. So I think it's time to bring it to a close.
Sounds good. All right, council comments. Ms. Powell.
I'm excited about the sidewalks coming along, especially on Fifth Street when you see all the kids walking from school and I hope the project itself goes well for us all.
Mr. Gross.
A lot of projects coming up, a lot of expenses going out. I believe we're doing a good job of considering everything that's happening. I just hope everybody in the public has time and the interest to ask what's going on and how we're doing it. Because then we can fill them in and know we're not wasting their money, so, okay, that's it.
Ms. Atchison.
Yes, with all the projects we have coming up, they're all improvements to the area, so it's gonna maybe cause a little bit of a tie up here or there, so please be patient.
Wise words. Wise words. Ms. Race.
I mean, they're same. Just, yeah, we have a lot of stuff going on and it's gonna be exciting to see all the changes and just, we need it bad, so we're ready for it and the city's worked very hard to get to this point and get money where it needs to be. Things don't happen overnight, so I think a lot of people are gonna be excited for that. And yes, patience.
Yeah, I would just say that, thank you, Mr. Manager, for really putting this emphasis on this. One of the things that we told you when we hired you is that we needed roads and sidewalks. Walkable community was really critical and important to us, and you are delivering on helping make that happen. And that's really important. And I am beyond happy to see all of these sidewalks going in. So with that, we're adjourned.